Wow.
Oh,
Intro. I like that.
Fellas, we are
Yeah.
back. Right? Why don't you introduce us here for this 2026 season?
Yeah, I love the intro there. That was great. Fourth season, 2026, boys. Crazy to say fourth. We were just talking about that beforehand. We're here. It's August, mid-August. We're almost to football. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday we'll have our first game. We got the top 25 AP. Fellas, how you been? How are things going? How's the summer? Are we ready for some college football?
Yeah, I'm very ready. I feel like it's been a big movie summer, which hey, I'm very pro. Blockbuster summer, still some good ones coming out, obviously. Been a big baseball summer, unfortunately, but I think once it goes from July to August, everybody's pretty ready for football. I've been watching a little bit of Hard Knocks, listening to a few podcasts on some college football. I'm ready to go. In week 1. Rustic Tap, LSU Clemson. I'm excited for it. It's a yearly tradition. So I'm pumped and I'm back. I'm excited to be back on TRC. I feel like we've upgraded every year. This is probably the least grainy that the video's ever been. Like, this is the clearest image I think we've ever had. So, well done, StreamYard. This is great.
Stu, how we doing?
Doing great. Yeah, I will echo Dak's sentiment that it has been an awesome summer of movies. I think Dak's laughing because we're in the same place right now and I'm echoing. I don't know if I'm delaying or echoing for you too, Kreitz, but hopefully we get through this fairly smooth with not too many technical difficulties. Hopefully it doesn't sound ridiculous. But yeah, glad to be back. Excited for this season. To talk on Dak's movie points, just saw End of Oak Street yesterday. Great movie.
I would like to second that. I give it like a solid 7.5. I feel like it's not easy to do a dinosaur movie, and it's tough getting into it. But I'd say they landed the plane beautifully. I recommend seeing it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, you had high remarks for it. Might have to go check it out myself. We all loved Spider-Man and the Odyssey. Great movie summer. I'll echo that. But I'm ready for college football. As much as I love movies and we all do in here, it is college football season. It's time to crack down on the top 25. Listen, AP top 25, fellas, and tell me if you feel differently. It is what it is. There's issues I have with this top 25. I always have issues with the top 25, but especially going into week 0, week 1. And Stu's bringing it up right now. Appreciate that. We can kick it off right away, Stu. That's great. Missouri happens to be always 25th. I think that's the meme that's on social media always. It happened to be 25th. Listen, this team, we'll get through this top row, fellas. If you guys have anything that stand out, hot on Louisville personally, but Hardy's coming back from a really serious accident, I believe, one of the best running backs in the country. But they're always good for 7-8 wins there with Eli Drinkowitz. Really excited to see what Louisville is. I think the ACC is fascinating. We'll touch a little more into it, but Houston also interesting. Kind of Wegman coming back. The Big 12, can anyone beat Texas Tech? We see a few Big 12 teams in here for Houston being the 23rd team in the ranking, Utah at 21st, and then classic Iowa sitting at 22. Fellas, the floor is yours. Anybody here you'd like to touch on, you'd like to talk about? These are teams that are projected mostly, that 7-8, maybe you get a 9-win team in here. What are we thinking?
I would say only main thing, and I think you were getting at this, is there's always kind of an issue with the preseason AP top 25. And I feel like since we switched to the 12-team playoff, it gets more and more incorrect. It's meant to mean less and less, right? There's supposed to be no bias. Once you go into those official college football playoff rankings, these are meant to mean nothing. People always go back to them though. So obviously people are going to be overly critical of them. I'd say the only team here, I think Louisville, I'm also hot on them. They're a little low in my eyes at 24. I think Miami, and we'll get into it a little bit, I think Miami is far and away the best team in the ACC, but the next two, to me, are SMU and Louisville. And I think they play pretty early, week 2 or week 3. And that could decide who's going to go play Miami, in my opinion, in the ACC championship. But I think Louisville is going to be a good football team. I like them more than Iowa and Utah, personally. And then, Mizzou, like you said, Hardy got shot. I believe that was the accident. He got shot in the leg.
Yes.
Unfortunate for the kid. That's tough. He's going to be out at least a month, but hopefully he's all right,
Yeah, I'll give a MSU basketball shout out here. Last
Wow.
college sports player to get shot in the leg was, I believe, Jeremy Fears Jr. And he actually came back, and credit to them. Played some great basketball. So we'll see if Ahmad Hardy can do the same. I agree. I think Louisville, I think maybe you could push them a little higher. Personally, I think they'll probably be better than Utah. I'm not a huge believer in Utah. I think Dampier is good, but you lose your OC who really made that thing run. I think that's definitely going to have an effect on them. So we'll see how their offense actually ends up shaking out. But I believe his name is Lincoln Kineholtz from Ohio State is Louisville's new
South
quarterback.
Dakota's very own.
And
he's supposed to.
Yeah, he's supposed to be pretty good. So same here. I think I'd personally put Louisville a little bit higher. Iowa, I know they really like their quarterback a lot this year. The fans are really believing in the offense for once, so it will be interesting to see how they shake out. We know their defense is always solid. So I think that's a good spot for Iowa, though. And then Houston, I don't really know much about Houston. I know people really like them this season, though, the Cougs fans. I have a couple of them at work, and they seem to be pretty hot on the Cougs this year. So it'll be interesting to see how they are. And then, again, with Mizzou, as our friend group would say, same story, different cast.
Correct. I have a quick question. What was it, not to bring it back up, I know we're talking college football, but what was it that you said about Jeremy Fears? Do you remember? I think there was a tweet along the lines of like, he's a really good guy. How could you hate him? And you said, how could he be a good guy? He got shot. It was like one of those, right?
I don't know what you mean by that. What are you saying?
Yeah. Just wondering.
I mean, a good guy. Did I call him a good guy? Is that what you're saying?
No, you saw a tweet saying like, oh, he's a great guy. How could you dislike him?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, clearly someone disliked him because they shot him.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Is that what you wanted from me?
Yeah.
All right, moving on from MSU hoops talks. That was, Tennessee at 20, SMU, Penn State, Washington, and Michigan. Now, I'll say this just to throw them in the mix here, tied for 14th USC. It's the run of the Big Ten Tier 2. We see Iowa in that first ranking. I'll say this. Listen, Tennessee, I'm not really too sure about, right? Like, I feel like they lost a lot. I know they have this like phenom quarterback coming in young, good receiver, sure. SMU, I have full understanding why they're at this position. Had a good year last year. They made the playoffs the year prior to that. Kevin Jennings is got his own facility named after him already there in Dallas, Texas. Kind of nuts. The NIL era we're living in, fellas, but they got a lot of cash to spend up there at Snow Mountain. Penn State, it's Iowa State 2.0, and call me a hater if you want, and maybe you guys feel the same way. I don't think you're going to say it's too much different. If this was Iowa State, is Iowa State ranked, 18th? I don't think so. So I'll just say that. Matt Campbell got the job. Is he deserving of a bigger job than Iowa State? Sure. He was years ago. I think he did a good job in Ames. No doubt about it. Rocco Beck, good quarterback. The whole team follows him there. I think it's just because it's that logo they're at 18. You guys can tell me if you feel different. I'll get through these teams here. Damon Williams, after weird conversations and what was going on, Dak maybe could give us insight there. Maybe going to Baton Rouge, contract dispute, whatever the hell it was. He stays with Washington and Seattle. That's a team that's frisky, that has a pretty favorable Big Ten schedule too, I might say. And then Big Blue with Kyle Whittingham. We'll spend some time on there. I know Stu's got some things to say for sure about Michigan getting the 16 spot. I like where they're at. I think it's fair. They were 9-3 last year, and I think if they go 9-3 this year, that's a hell of a season. Way tougher schedule when it comes to the Big Ten draw, playing Oregon, playing Ohio State, playing Indiana, all the teams that made in the Big Ten, and then throw in Oklahoma again, who made it to the playoffs, referring to playoffs to the Big Ten teams. So Tennessee, fellas, I'll just start off there. I don't know. Listen, I like their coach. I think he's done a decent job there. Sure, Heupel's done all right, but I'm not I wouldn't be shocked if they're 7-5 at the end of the year. Let's just start off there, and we'll make our way through the teams. Tennessee, you guys got anything to say there?
I kind of agree. Like Tennessee, I feel like is a pretty big question mark. They brought in Jim Knowles, right? To be
they did. That's true. Yeah.
I think that's huge because their defense obviously struggled in the past, has struggled.
Did that work well for Penn State, though, is my question.
No, I understand. Obviously, like it did not work well for Penn State, but Penn State took a turn that I don't know if
100%.
Anybody could have guessed. Also, like their defense wasn't like the absolute worst. I'm not sure that was the total problem. But besides the point, usually I feel like the question mark would be first year starting quarterback, but I feel like Heupel every single season has had a first year starting quarterback. They run like spread vertical deep offense, and so I feel like it's an easy system for a quarterback to play in as long as you can learn the offense quickly and learn it early. Their running back, what's his name? Like Bishop, I think he was like freshman All-American last year. He's going to be good, but you have a tough SEC schedule. And so that's going to be the toughest part. They could have a great season, and it still just results in 9-3. And so I actually think this is like a pretty fair, like putting them at 20. I think that's pretty fair, pretty respectful, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a very generous ranking for Tennessee. Not saying that they're a bad team whatsoever. In fact, to Jim Knowles' credit, I think the offense was like primarily, and James Franklin, but James Franklin and the offense were primarily the issues for Penn State last season, not necessarily the defense. And I think what's his name? Like Faison, the new quarterback they have, I think he's probably going to have like a Bryce Underwood type season where it's like you see the talent, but not necessarily amazing, has like some hiccups in there. And then I know they have good receivers around them, so I'm guessing they'll be able to pass the ball well still. Like Dak said, the running back Bishop should be solid. But I just don't think this Tennessee team is even close to as good as last year's Tennessee team. So I think 20 is like a generous spot for them. Personally, we were just talking about Louisville in the last 5. I think like Louisville might be a better team than them. I think Mizzou probably is a better team than Tennessee this season. So yeah, generous spot for them.
I like Heupel, but like I said, I think they play Texas, they play Bama, I think they play LSU this year. Yeah, they play LSU. I don't know if they play A&M, so I feel like that's the toughest part for them.
Do they not play Georgia? I'd assume they play Georgia too, no?
I don't know because they got like LSU's not playing Florida. They just
right, but they have those 3 games though that are always tied to. I would assume.
I'll pull up there.
Pull that up, please. They have that rivalry thing that they do where they're tied with 3 teams.
But that's because like LSU's is like Bama, Arkansas, and A&M. Tennessee.
I assume it's Georgia, Florida, Auburn, or maybe Kentucky. Probably Kentucky.
Yeah, it's Kentucky. They don't play Georgia, so they go Furman, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State, whatever. Georgia Tech though. Then they go Texas, Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, because Tennessee, Alabama is a big one.
Yep.
At South Carolina, Kentucky, at Texas A&M, LSU, and then they finish with at Vandy.
State. There you go. Yeah, in state, that makes sense. Yeah, you almost forget about them. Yeah, no, totally fair point. I like Heupel. I think he's a good coach, fellas. Yeah, Faison's the quarterback. You're right. I don't think just echo that too. I don't think Jim Knowles was the problem at Penn State. Drew Aller and that offense was terrible. That thing just fell off the wheels the second they lost to Oregon. It was done. They lost to UCLA after that, and now that's why he's at Virginia Tech. So. Yeah, Tennessee, listen, if they end 7-5, I wouldn't be shocked. If they end 9-3, it's a really good year. I think they're at that probably 7.5 win total, and I probably would, either or. You can pick your poison there. Yeah. No Georgia helps, but they get Texas, I believe. They do get them in Knoxville too. So SMU, Stu, I'll kick it to you here about SMU. I know you're hot on them. They're your ACC. You've had them as possibly, I think you took a bet that they, obviously, I think you would think Miami's a better team, but that could win that conference. I mean, Miami didn't win the conference last year, so it's very doable. We've seen SMU do it. Actually, they lost to Clemson 2 years ago, but they still got in the playoff. It's their 3rd year in the ACC. It's 3rd year as Jennings at the quarterback. SMU.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up their schedule right now so I can read it off to kind of break down why I bet on them to win the ACC this year. But yeah, I'm super hot on SMU. Obviously, we saw last season how good they are. Like you said, Kevin Jennings, great player, has a facility named after him. Some people are saying maybe a statue to come soon too. We'll
Wow.
see. But Dak's got
I
something to
feel
say.
like it's got to be said. We were sitting here no less than 2 weeks ago, and you're like, "Why don't you like Kevin Jennings? He's got a statue built after him." And I was like, "There's no way he already has a statue made for him.
No statue yet.
No statue yet.
Soon to come. That's why I said that, because it's coming soon. Especially after they win the ACC this season. But just to walk you through their schedule real quick and why I think they'll win the ACC. They start off at Florida State. It's a tough game. We saw what happened when Bama played Florida State to open the season last year. It didn't go too well. But I like to think this SMU offense has a little bit more experience on it than that Bama team did. Then they got UC Davis. That's a win. At Louisville, tough game. Missouri State at home. That'll be a instant win. Boston College, instant win. Virginia, tough game. California, tough game, but I think they'll still win both of those. At Syracuse, my other ACC darling, they'll win that one. It's tough times for the Orange right now. They played James Franklin and Virginia Tech. Tough game. I like SMU to win that one still. Wake Forest after that. And then Notre Dame, and then finish it off with Stanford. So are there some tough games in there? Yeah, but I would say fairly easy schedule. You don't have to play Miami. You don't have to play Duke, who won the ACC last year. Like, I think that's a pretty favorable ACC schedule. And I actually had someone at work when I was telling them that they should also take a future on SMU to win the ACC. They were like, "Oh, you're crazy. Why not Miami?" And I was like, well, if you remember last year, Miami didn't win the ACC, even though they went to the Natty. And they were like, yeah, but that was because of one game. And I was like, and who was that one game against? It was against the SMU Ponies. And so, yes, I'm very hot on SMU this year. Think they'll win the ACC. Kevin Jennings, really wished I got him in my college football fantasy league as my quarterback. Unfortunately, our good friend Lucas stole him from me. But yeah, like the Ponies, I would honestly have them higher than Penn State here.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Dak, do you want to say anything with SMU before we move on to Penn State? You got any detail there?
No, I'm good. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to them and Louisville. Stu, I'll ask you this. Does Kevin Jennings have a little bit of a turnover problem? I think he's thrown a lot of picks the last couple of seasons. And I think that's like the only knock on him is he does turn the rock over quite a bit.
He does. He gambles with the pill. And you know, even with the turnovers last year, still a pretty damn good season.
He did.
I want to step in here. You know, listen, we're just starting season 4. It's time to kind of unravel, we'll say, the ACC a little bit. And we know about a team that Dak's very hot on. You and I both have a bet on it, actually. So you are kind of saying that North Carolina is not going to be a team that's competing for the ACC. You just said Louisville. You said, obviously, SMU. Miami is obviously the front runner right now. No UNC, because you've been hot on them. So I just want to clarify.
Yeah, so you got to understand, like we're big media here, obviously. So you have to give the popular takes most of the time. Everyone's picking Miami, Louisville, SMU. I agree with that. But what we haven't touched on yet is the dark horses outside of the top 25. I have a couple others as well. North Carolina, when it comes to the ACC, is definitely a dark horse.
Wow.
But
oh, there you go. That's good. That's good.
No, I'll just ignore that. I know you guys were knocking my boy Billy Edwards the other day. It's not
your boy. Okay.
Yeah, it's not his fault that Wisconsin was bad last year. He didn't even get to play. You know, you can't control it when you're not playing. Yes, Belichick, his breasts have gotten a bit larger. Not sure what's going on there. It's a bad look, kind of like Sam Pittman, but I still believe he's a great football coach. And North Carolina is going to be very sneaky. They have potential to win 7 to 8 games.
Well, Vegas has them at 4.5. So
let's
just play that out and see how that goes. They play Notre Dame this year. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
what was the bet you and I did again? I remember the one with Stu and I. What did you and I do again?
4.5. We're doing the win total.
Win total. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. We're good.
I don't think you are, nor were you last year. They didn't do very well. Now, I think they were going to do that bad. I don't think any of us. Actually, I know none of us on TRC thought that. But
I like
high
them.
accolades. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's a great coach. I get it. But the bigger the breasts, the hotter the seat. We're figuring that out in college football. Yeah. All right.
The bigger breast, the hotter the mess.
I like that. Yes, that's good. That was good. Now, this one's going to be tasty. Let's talk about Penn State at 18. Penn State, let me read the schedule, fellas. I will say this. As much as I'm not too hot on legit Iowa State of the East.
That's why they're here, though, is their schedule.
Is it? Maybe. Marshall at home. Temple on the road. They go down to Philadelphia. Buffalo at home. Wisconsin at home. I'm anticipating they're 4-0. Now, Stewart might step in and say different. It's a tough game out there in Evanston. They go out to Northwestern, who's frisky this year. Then they get USC at home. They go to Big Blue. I'd be shocked if they win both those games. I think they're dropping minimally 1, possibly 2. Purdue at home. Stu, I don't know.
No, yeah, that's a win.
I'm getting Northwestern. You can hook me on them. I don't know about that. At Washington, let's chuck that up as an L in Seattle. Tough place to play. Minnesota at home. Rutgers at home. At Maryland. I mean, we could be looking down the barrel here, and they're 10-2, and they're not good. That's the scary thing about Penn State. I will preface with that. I don't like them at 18. Fellas, what do we think?
I agree. I'm not a Matt Campbell guy. I don't know if there's anybody here right now that's Matt Campbell guy. Between the three of us, nobody's huge on him. Maybe Stu back in the day when there was some hardball troubles. I don't know. But was never an Iowa State guy. I don't know. Not a Penn State guy, obviously. That schedule's easy. I also think we're in an era of college football where experience at the quarterback position means a lot more now than it did in the past. Rocco Beck, I think, has started almost like 40 games, which is close to the most in college football. So that gets you that at least gets you the easy victories, which I think gets you to 9-3, like 8-4, 9-3. And their toughest games are Michigan and USC, and then Washington will be a little bit tougher. But I also don't think that they're the 18th best team in the country. If they somehow go 10-2 and trot their way into the playoffs somehow, I think they get destroyed there. They have no business being there. But they're not. They're going to be in the top 25 probably the entire season, if I were to guess. And I think that's mainly why they're at 18 is the brand, it's the schedule, and Matt Campbell is enough. But I still think like it's just more of it's less of the same with James Franklin than when they have with James Franklin, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially after what we saw with Notre Dame last season getting left out. I have a feeling that the actual playoff committee rankings are going to have Penn State a lot lower comparatively towards the AP poll. I think there is a very real world they go 10-2 and don't make the playoff just because of how easy their schedule is. And yeah, it's a super easy schedule. I mean, honestly, you would think they win at least 9 games with that schedule. But like you're saying, Christ, this is pretty much just an Iowa State team. I know a ton of Penn State players left to go to other schools or to follow James Franklin to Virginia Tech, and pretty much the entire Iowa State roster followed Matt Campbell there. I think Iowa State had like 4 scholarship players on their roster at one point after he left. So, yeah, I think this is purely just the fact that it's Penn State, schedule easy. That's the reason why they're there. I literally think SMU is way better. I think Tennessee is even better. Heck, I would even say Iowa and Mizzou and probably Louisville also better than Penn State.
Yeah, I think all that's fair. Again, are they just kind of preparing themselves because of the schedule? That's a great question, and it kind of seems like what it is, because I don't think if they were Iowa State would even probably be in the top 25. Maybe they crack it, but I don't know, fellas. So I'm with you guys here. Washington. Washington at 17, right behind the Michigan Wolverines. Our good friend Roman, we might have him on, friend of the show from Locked On Huskies. Can give us probably some better insight. Damon Williams. This is the team that's returning a ton of players, fellas. Jed Fish stays in Seattle. And their schedule, again, favorable. I mean, they don't have to play as many as the big dogs. Now, it's not as Penn State favorable. I'll read it off to you guys here when I pull it up. But this is a team that is a sleeper. And I know you've said it, Stu, that it could be a playoff team from the Big Ten. I mean, I'll read it right now, actually, just how I got it. Washington State at home. They got the Apple Cup there. Utah State, Eastern Washington. Okay, I'm going to give them 3 wins. Home against Minnesota. It would be a bad game if they lost that. I'm not – no hate to PJ Fleck and what they're doing over there at Minnesota. They'll probably win 7 games. I don't think it's one of them here. At USC, that's homecoming for USC. I'll chuck up probably an L, but maybe they win a frisky game there. They get Iowa at home. They don't have to go out to Iowa City. On the road at Purdue. I don't know, Stu. Is that one of the wins? Nebraska on the road. I think this is the last year personally with our good friend Matt Rule, friend of the show. Not really. Don't want him to be either. There, Nebraska.
I think that would be good.
Penn State, home at Michigan State, home against Indiana, okay, and then Oregon. So 2 really tough games at the end of the year. But they don't play Ohio State. They don't play Michigan. You know, they do have to play Indiana and Oregon, sure. And USC's a little tougher.
You said USC also?
That's USC's homecoming game. They get Indiana.
Breaks is going.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be in attendance. I'm very excited for that at the Coliseum. They'll that's a big game early October, fellas. I mean, that'll look at you got 17 here and tied for 14th there.
Yeah.
These are the teams that
Big
could
100%.
Who's the 4th team going to be? I think we all can agree 3 last year, and they definitely have a chance to win it again this year. Who's that 4th team going to be? Who's going to crack the 4 for the Big Ten? I really don't know if there'll be 5. I don't think there's 5 good enough teams. Can USC, Michigan, Washington, if you want to throw in Iowa and Penn State, I'm good on them. But, like, who's going to be that next team to really get into the playoff? I say all that. Washington, what do we think, Stu?
Yeah, I think the one thing we've learned with Jed Fish as a head coach, and especially in the Big Ten based on last season, is that he's going to have a good offense year in, year out pretty much. That's the one thing you can rely on with him. I think they got a couple new guys at receiver. Maybe it's just one new guy. But I know that the fans are hot on him. I've been seeing it from some of Roman, our friend who was on the show last year. He's had a few posts on Instagram about it. I've seen where they're looking forward to him. I forget his name. I wish I had it right now. He is on my college football fantasy team. But yeah, one new receiver who I know they like a lot. Damon Williams, obviously, we had all the crazy drama with them. But I'm guessing their work. I mean, we're in a new day and age of college football where it's more like the NFL. Your guys are getting paid. Like, as long as everyone's happy with their money, like, I feel like things can get swept under the bridge pretty easily. So I expect them to be fairly good. I don't really expect any drama with all that offseason stuff that went on. And yeah, it's really Washington, Michigan, USC who's going to be that next team up behind the big 3. So we will see. But I think this is a great spot for Washington.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like, under Jed Fish, I feel like his teams consistently get better. They went 9-4 last year, if you include the bowl game. Damon Williams is a beast. He's really good. I think the biggest complaint with him last year is, like, in big games, he was bad, like bad. Where I think, like, the 9 wins that they had, he averaged over 300 yards from scrimmage, rushing and passing total. But the games that they lost, he was throwing for like $130 and had a couple of picks in all of them. I get into this a little bit more with a team a little bit higher up, but I do think like the off-season drama at quarterback can matter. And it is a little weird when they already had the stuff where is Jed Fish going to leave? Is he not going to leave? We're not certain. You already had that in Washington, which isn't the biggest deal. That's been going on in college football forever. But then Damon Williams quite literally tried to enter the portal and was like, I'm going to sign elsewhere after signing a contract. And they didn't convince him to come back. They said, you're either coming back or we're going to take legal action. And then I don't know what happened in between, but he was like, okay, I guess we're coming back and now we're good. That might not matter at all because that was like 9 months ago at this point. So it might not be a huge deal. Don't love that though. It almost feels like when you're 1 foot out the door 9 months ago, maybe you're also kind of 1 foot out the door into the NFL now. We'll see, but Washington could easily be that 4th team. I personally will get to them in a little bit. I think it's USC, but I do think Washington, it's going to be a tough team to play for everybody in the Big Ten.
Yeah, tough place to play. Good quarterback. A lot of continuity coming back there in Seattle. Yeah, I mean, Jed Fish, like you said, how serious was that? How many calls did at the time Ward Manuel make? I don't know who's going to step down. We can get into that with Michigan, who's next here. I don't understand what the hell is going on in Ann Arbor with that situation. He's stepping down. Is this right, Stu? He's stepping. No, they're letting him go at the end of the school year.
He's stepping down at the end of the calendar year. So at the end of 2026, he's stepping down, and he's getting, I forget how much money he's getting, but he's getting some sort of payout. So I'm guessing they just hired a new president. So there's a new president for U of M now. I think she's from Vanderbilt, if I remember right. But I'm sure once she gets in, like officially in here in these next couple of weeks, she'll probably start the search for the next AD.
Get that freak out of there. That's what I say. Let's kick it to you, Stu. Michigan Wolverines. How we feeling? Very tough schedule. Like I mentioned earlier, 4 playoff teams are on this schedule. Nuts from last year. The 3 that we see up here, number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, they go to Eugene. We should be in attendance for that one. Very excited. That'll be a TRC special there in November. Then we get Oklahoma at home, and can't forget the national champs, number 6, who I have a grievance with them being at 6th. Indiana coming to Ann Arbor. Wow, that's a lot of tough games. And not to forget, they got to play Iowa too. That's also on this list. Michigan Wolverines, Bryce Underwood year 2. Stu, please, let's hear it.
Do you miss Sharon?
Yeah. No, don't miss him. Honestly, hope we never have to see him in college football again. But I could probably talk about this team for another hour here. So I'm gonna try to keep it brief and into my main points with how I'm feeling about him heading into this season. I love the new regime, and we talked about it as the season ended when that new hire happened. But love the new regime. Everything I'm hearing from fall camp sounds like things, especially with the offense, are looking great. I know they're really high on the defense too, mainly the defensive line and the secondary. Most questionable position group is probably the linebackers. Not that they're bad. There's just not a lot of depth there. There's probably 4 guys that are like good players, and then it's a big drop off after that. But I'm expecting pretty much just like a classic Michigan team. So running the football, great in the trenches on offense and on defense. And then, like I said, secondary will be great. Rod Moore actually just got named a Michigan football captain for the 3rd time, first player in program history to be a 3-time captain. So that's something that's pretty cool. I thought I'd share. But yeah, as you mentioned, Kreit's schedule, complete gauntlet. Shout out Phil Steele. We were looking at his book. They had Michigan's schedule as the 2nd hardest schedule, I believe. I think Texas was number 1. And it's crazy. I've been saying this to you guys that I really do think that Michigan, Texas, and Ohio State are probably the 3 only teams in college football that, depending on how it all shakes out, could have 3 losses and a chance at the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, even outside the Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State game, Oklahoma game, you still got to go on the road at Minnesota, which, look, Minnesota, not amazing, but I mean, that's a big game. That's going to be a game they get up for in enemy territory. You got to play Iowa still at home. You got to play Penn State, who we all think sucks, but you still got to play them. So, I mean, it is truly a gauntlet of a schedule. We're going to know really early what we have with Kyle Whittingham. I think they got us at 8 wins is the prediction for the season.
8.5. Yeah, 8.5.
8.5. Yeah, and I think that's more than fair. Personally, fan goggles on. I have them winning 9, and I couldn't tell you which one of those big games they win. I just think they'll find their way into winning one of them. We will see. Like you said, we should be in Eugene for that Michigan-Oregon game. Hopefully it's that one. But I'm excited, and I think you're excited too, Kreitz. I think every Michigan fan is fairly excited. We'll see what we got with Bryce. I will say, we know the team outside of Bryce is good. How good this team is, though, really comes down to him, and I think every Michigan fan is pretty aware of that. So that's where all the eyes are going to be that 2nd week against Oklahoma. So it should be fun.
Yeah, I'll say this, fellas. I have optimism here. Again, do I think we're going to make the playoffs? No. You're right, Stu. I'll say this, though. 9-3 possibly could, depending on who you beat, could get you in the playoffs. This team, though, if you go 9-3 compared to 9-3 last year, is astronomically better. You have a coach who's getting you back on the rails. That's it. We need a guy who's old school football, physicality, one of the better, like when it comes to just strength and conditioning coaches of just being a head coach. He's bringing in the right people. He came in and said, this team is not well conditioned and not strong. When Harbaugh left, he took Herbert with him. I mean, he was one of the better strength and conditioning coordinators in the country, and he took him to the NFL. So that's the thing here. It's like you're getting someone who I think is perfect for this job in the state that Michigan football is in. Because what Sharon Moore did in a 2-year span, all of it was masked by him beating Ohio State year one. That, to me, is the biggest thing here, is the fact they beat Ohio State and throw in the bowl game if you want to against Alabama. Great. That was just icing. That was the cherry on top. It was masked by how bad this team was. And it was a bad culture thing. I mean, he just wasn't ready for the job. We've talked about it ad nauseum. So the fact they get Kyle Whittingham in this situation, do I think he's going to be here for a decade? Probably not. That would put him almost at, I believe, Bill Belichick's age. Your guy, Dak. But I'll say this. Like, I'm just excited to see, because even if they go 8-4, like that means they still could be a better team at 8-4 this year than they were at 9-3 last year, because how tough the schedule is. So I have optimism. I mean, I don't know. I just want to see Bryce be better. He actually has a quarterback coach now. Let's not forget, they didn't even have a quarterback coach. That's how insane Sharon Moore was. Having the keys to Michigan is crazy. Let's bring in the most valuable, a guy who we poached from LSU. And that's not even a shot at LSU. The fact we were able to poach him from LSU, I get he's from Michigan, but is insane considering they've had 2 Heisman quarterbacks in the last, less than a decade? Like, that's crazy that we were able to. And then they didn't have a quarterback coach to prepare a 17-year-old at the time. Right now, it was last year for the season, is insanity. I'm super excited to see what Kyle Whittingham does. I'm really looking more towards 2027. They got to come down to Austin and play. It'll be a really tough schedule again. But if they're 8-4 and there's signs of improvement and just like stability, I'm happy. Again, I'm excited to see what this year is, because they could be good. Who knows? Maybe they win a couple of those games that we don't think they're going to, and they get in. Who knows? I have high hopes for Michigan in the next couple years with Whittingham. So, Dak, please, I want to hear what you have to say. But like that's my 2 cents with Big Blue.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. I feel like Michigan this year is probably one of the bigger wild cards in college football. You don't know like exactly what you're gonna get. You touched on it. They went 9-3 last year, and probably an undeserved 9-3. Like the state of the program, what it ended up being, and who Sharon Moore was as a head coach and a guy. So
a pervert.
Yeah, he's the goon lord. Like that's who he is. He's a gooner. He is the goon lord, and he was outed for him. Like good for him. Speak your truth. But Witt was the perfect guy, I think, to bring in. It's unfortunate that the schedule's that tough this year. I do think you have you got a couple wild cards though on the schedule where I know Indiana obviously won a national championship, but they lost a lot. You don't necessarily know exactly what they're going to be. You have no idea what Penn State is going to be. I think you know what you're getting with Oklahoma, but like, is that a for sure loss? Like at home, that early in the season, maybe, but like, I think there are a few of those tougher games in there that are maybe more 50-50. The Oregon, Ohio State, you know exactly where you're getting. Those are going to be really tough.
Tough games. I think Oregon's the toughest personally. Not to step on your toes here. I think that's the toughest because at least Ohio State, at least you got something over them. I know they kicked their ass last year, but we'll be, like I said, should be in attendance for that game. That's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one, rocking the big blue. I'll do it, but
that's going to no, dude. That one's going to be electric because I've been saying it for the last 2 months. What I'm going to miss the most about this fall is our good buddy David Ocampo moved out to California. I love going out to the bar and watching Oregon games with him because he's a mess. We went and watched Oregon versus Indiana with him. It sucks for him, but it's really funny for us. Now we get Ocampo and we get Stu all in one venue with late in the season with a lot on the line.
Awesome, baby.
Yeah. That's going to be fun. But no, yeah, I think with Witt, they're going to get back to what won them a national championship, which is a good offensive line. You're going to have a good defense, and you're going to be able to run the football properly. You got 2 really nice running backs. I think the biggest thing, I saw a stat the other day, I think in terms of quarterbacks running the football last season, it was like the 3 service academy schools and then Utah. And you have Bryce Underwood, and who's got a hell of an arm, but I think they're going to encourage him to use his legs a little bit more. They're going to have him run it maybe 10, 11, 12 times a game. I think that's going to help him a lot. And that's going to make the offense move a little bit more so he doesn't have to rely on his arm and rely on his vision as much because he's still young, dude. He's like 19. So I like it. I agree. I think 8-4, 9-3 is a good range for him. I don't see him going 7-5, but I'm excited to see what they end up doing.
Well, let's just take a break. Let's just take a break.
Yeah, we'll pause.
Dude, why don't you do that? Let's just break it. Yeah, we'll break it.
We'll pause. I was trying.
All right, on to USC.
USC, BYU tied for 14th, fellas. Alabama at 13, which is like, it seems normal now. We are prisoners of the moment. If you go back, you ever think you could see that? I know he did that last year, but it's like, yeah, they belong to be there. Like that's where they belong. Texas Tech at 12, kind of interesting. Team that spent a lot of money. Obviously, all the Sorsby stuff that was happening in June was just nuts. And then, of course, the LSU Tigers. That Dak, again, listen, let's go back. Do you still feel the same way before we get into LSU? I just have to ask this, and I'll get right into USC because I want you to tell me about USC. Do you still feel the same way you did about Oklahoma State as you do LSU? Now that you've had a few sleeps on it, now that Lane has been in Baton Rouge for a few months.
Yeah, so I alluded to it earlier. I have some other dark horses outside of the top 25. Oklahoma State very much so believes in the top 25. I don't know if we're going to do this at some point. Oklahoma State, they're my pick to win the Big 12. I'm doing it. They're my pick to win the Big 12. And I'm sticking to my guns there. What did I put LSU at? Yeah, I knew this was going to come back around.
Like 18th or 20th or something so ridiculous.
19.
Like
19. Thank you.
It was like 19.
19.
We'll get more into it. After we go through USC and the other ones, I will say I think not USC. Sorry, I think LSU. They're probably the biggest wild card on the board. I think most people would say that. Like you brought in the number 1 portal class. You have Lane Kiffin. Not as far as making the playoffs or not. Like you have all of the ability in the world to compete.
Just answer my question. I'm sorry. We'll talk all about LSU. I'm very excited to hear about LSU. I'll give you.
No, they're not. They're better than Oklahoma.
You're not answering the question.
They're better than Oklahoma State. 100%.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So you take back your take. That's good.
Did I put Oklahoma State? Yeah, because I put them at 12, I guess.
I think you had them like 10th. Wasn't it 10th, Stu?
Yeah.
Something crazy. It was insane.
It was something outlandish.
Insane. Yeah.
I think we picked our playoffs, maybe. And
It was outlandish. All right, but let's talk about USC. Jaden comes back at quarterback.
Yeah.
They do lose some receivers. We know that. Lane is gone. Mellon's gone. They're all in the NFL. Booby Feaster is there. Dak's very hot on Booby. And that defense is supposed to be better. Patterson is now there. I know that. So that they got some talent that they remember when they had that really good recruiting class. I think they're all kind of getting ready now. I think they've been on the roster. That's supposed to be like one of the best recruiting classes, whatever.
Was it like 24?
Yeah, right. And now they've had a year to really like get into the rhythm there. Schedule is somewhat favorable. I'll say it's not the most. They don't have to play against. They do get Ohio State, but they get them at home. I don't think they play Indiana.
They do. They play Indiana.
Oh, do they avoid Oregon? Which one do they?
Oregon. That's what this was my they could go 9-3 and make it team personally. I think there's
so they get them all.
Yes, they have them all because they have Ohio State, they have Oregon, they have Indiana, they have Washington, they have Penn State, they have at Wisconsin.
And no Notre Dame this year. That's their big avoidance.
Right.
Notre Dame.
At Wisconsin is not a tough game.
No, it's not. Yeah. But I guess going to Camp Randall, I don't know.
That hasn't been tough in years. Let's call it out.
No, you know what? Maybe I might be prisoner of the moment. I listened to the part of my take interview with Luke Fickell. They got rid of that athletic director who everyone fucking hated. I don't hate Wisconsin now. I think maybe they're okay.
I think the fact that Luke Fickell knows his seat is hot from that interview kind of speaks volumes of how hot his seat is. Like he's even talking about it, right?
I mean,
Like that's
AB's
pretty
gone.
bad.
The AB's gone. Like, yeah. Anyways.
So they play. Sorry, Dak. Real quick, they play their Oregon early September. That's at home. They do play Washington at home. They got to go out to Penn State. This is a tough Big Ten schedule. They don't play Michigan, but they do have to play at Indiana. They get Ohio State at home. Yeah, 8.5 wins. It makes more sense even with Notre Dame removed. I get why that's their win total. They have 3 games they probably won't be favored in. 2 of those at home. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, I still kind of like USC to make the playoffs this year. I like Lincoln Riley as a head coach. I understand what he did at Oklahoma. That was maybe the worst era of Big 12 football that we've ever seen in our life. And maybe this era is, I don't know. But like defense was non-existent in that era. You had Baker Mayfield, you had Kyler Murray, you had the back end of Caleb Williams. And so, you know, if those teams were in the Big Ten, do they make the playoffs? I don't know. But Maeva, I think, is maybe my Heisman favorite going into it, dude. A Lincoln Riley quarterback coming back for another year. He's awesome. Their O-line is legit. They brought back both running backs as well. Eventually, your defense has to catch up a little bit. It's a tough schedule, and this isn't the best reasoning in the world, but at least in my eyes, like eventually it has to happen because I don't think he's close to bottoming out. It's not like a Brian Kelly or a situation like that where you're so close to like, oh, you're just absolutely cooked. Lincoln stayed at that level.
You know what? You're spoiled.
Yes. Yeah. That didn't sound like it. That sounded like me. That was weird. You got to play that again. One more time.
You know what? You're spoiled.
Yeah, that's good. No, I think eventually USC has. Eventually, they got to find it. Like you said, they had that top recruiting class finally coming in. It's a tough schedule. That's what makes it kind of difficult to pick them. But like that would be my 4th team in the Big Ten, and I think they're going to get it done.
Okay. Just for the sake of time, Stu, you got anything to say about USC this year? I think Lincoln Riley, personally, I'll just give my 2 cents. It's a big year for him. I mean, fair to say if it's a bad year, that the seat's getting hot. But if it's a good year, then this could be the trajectory of them being like back to being, again, not USC Reggie Bush, but like USC being like a team that can consistently make the playoffs. I think they have the ability to do it this year for sure. What's your opinion, though?
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I definitely think they have the ability, as you guys said, like 2024 top class. They actually had the top recruiting class this past season too. So the ability is there. However, I'm kind of in a boat that's similar to where Texas was a while ago, where I'm in the I'll believe it when I see it boat. And yeah, making the playoff, it's a little bit easier now. So it wouldn't shock me if they made the playoffs at all. But in terms of being like an actual contender, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. So agree. They have all the talent. They got the coach. Will the defense be good this season? And will they actually make some real noise? We will see.
Yep. BYU, we'll move on to them. Also tied at 14. I have some 2 cents on them. Their quarterback returns, Bo, rocking 47, I believe. Bear, excuse me. I called him Bo. Bear, thank you. But is it 47? Did I get the number right at least?
I believe so, right?
Yeah,
brutal. Shades of Devin Garner. Better quarterback, though, I will say that. Fun game, fellas. I was looking at their schedule. Don't have to play Texas Tech. Fun game. October 17th. I'm calling it, unless there's a crazy SEC or Big Ten game I'm missing. Game day could be there because BYU hosts Notre Dame. Very interesting up there in Provo, Utah. That'll be interesting. I'll say that right there. That's an interesting game. I think they're a good team this year. I think this is the team I will say I feel really good can challenge Texas Tech. And if I had to pick a team to win the Big 12 right now, I might go BYU. I really like what they got rolling out. Utah's not going to be as much of a threat. I know they're at 21, but Whittingham's in Michigan right now. That's their in-state rival. They have to play every year. Don't have to play Texas Tech, so you only match up against them once. I would assume that's in the Big 12 championship game. BYU, fellas, just for sake of time, I'll move to Bama unless you guys got anything you want to say.
I'm good. Don't care.
I'll just say I also like BYU, and I agree, Kreitz. I think that game against Notre Dame is going to be an awesome game. but I will be interested to see how their defense looks now that they've lost Jay Hill to Michigan.
Yeah, Jay Hill to Michigan, defense coordinator. You're right.
That's the one interesting part for me. But agree, big fan of Bear Bachmeier. I think they will be a very good team, probably most likely best, if not second best in the Big 12.
Alabama at 13, talked about them a little bit. New quarterback comes in. He's been there for a little bit. I mean, fellas, you look at their SEC schedule, it's doable. I mean, it truly is. This is a team that if they go 10-2, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I would say biggest thing, though, is what were they last year running the football? They were like 120th, I think, in rushing the rock in the nation, which isn't great. And you have first-year starting quarterback. They still have all the talent in the world. DeBoer has brought in great recruiting classes, transfer classes, all of that. But I think like 13 it's a fair spot for them. I think this was the stat that I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's back-to-back years, but I think this is the first time they were outside of the top 10 in the preseason AP top 25 since 2008. And so you said like crazy to see them at 13, but like it's not that shocking based on what they've been the last 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
Do they play Georgia again? I would guess probably.
I think that's their one big game. I actually don't know if they play it. Yeah, they do. They get them at home. They don't have to play Texas. I mean, one big game. I say that in the SEC like it's – but like, listen, fellas, it's East Carolina, at Kentucky, Florida State, which they owe them a big one. Home against South Carolina, at Mississippi State. There's your big game, October 10. Call game day there. I will right now. Bama hosts Georgia. They go to Tennessee. Okay. They get A&M at home. They go to LSU too, Dak. That'll be a big game. All right, so like even if you give them Georgia and LSU as losses, Vanderbilt ain't the same. Chattanooga's not going to be a problem, and Auburn ain't there for me yet. That's 10-2. So, maybe they go 9-3, but at that point with this schedule, 9-3. Kellen DeBoer, I get he just re-signed, but they the seats, the pitchforks are out there.
No, that's tough. Yeah, you go 9-3. I agree.
Yeah, but Kellen DeBoer can thank Michigan for getting that extended contract.
Where they were looking at him. Yeah.
Big Blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, let's get to Texas Tech, fellas. The talk of the Texas, kind of, not really, as they are the third-ranked team in the state of Texas when it comes to hierarchy. Listen, the Sorsby thing, I will say this as someone who covered the sport on the old radio station here in Austin for 3+ years. I am so glad with all the shit that's going on with NIL and all this, they put their foot down. Listen, I'm a man who likes to gamble. I think we all have indulged, but you can't do it like the way Sorsby was, and they could not. Even when they tried to bring in their own people in Lubbock, Texas, they tried to get the law there to be on his side. I am glad the NCAA finally had the balls to step in and say, we're not doing this. We're not having you play college football anymore. You just can't have it. I mean, you just can't have it. Like you just. Again, is this a fucked up world where am I saying the NCAA is all great, fine, and dandy? No, they're advertising for betting as they're telling them they can't do it. But, you know, when you're betting on like stuff that's legit at your university, like he was at Cincinnati, betting on himself, I actually kind of appreciate the fact he did from a weird sick standpoint. At least he was betting on himself, I believe, to win. There was no losing, at least. I will give him credit there. But you can't do it, man. Like, you got to know that. Like, I have to put my foot down at some point. I think the NCAA is fucked up. I'm not saying they're right at all. So even giving them a pat on the back like this isn't really right either. But, like, he can't be the quarterback. They cannot do that. Like, Will Hammond's the quarterback. Shout out to the Hutto Hippos up here in Austin, Texas. It's right outside Austin. That's the starting quarterback for the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who I believe them in Notre Dame. I think they went down to 10.5, but I believe, look at their schedule. The easiest schedule, I believe, in the country. They're at like 10.5, and that's such an easy bet. They might lose one game, but I don't even know who that would be to. Maybe Oklahoma State, maybe Houston, but I think they get both. Maybe they go to Stillwater, but they get Houston at home. Whatever. My point is Texas Tech, to me, I'll believe it when I see it in the playoffs. If you get there, you didn't score a point against Oregon, so I'll believe it when I see it when you play real teams.
No.
I imagine that Texas Tech team playing Indiana last year.
Oh, they would have gone.
Good night. Good night.
They would have been waxed. And I mean, yeah, they do still. They have the best roster in the Big 12, and they're going to outspend, especially anybody in the Big 12. But they're going to outspend most of the country too. Like that's the one spot that they won't lose. They're going to spend the most money, and their schedule is as easy as it gets. Sorsby, you said it. That's the one thing you can't do. You just can't gamble. Going back to 1945, whatever it is. If you play a professional sport or a collegiate sport, you can't gamble. You can do pretty much anything else, but that's the one thing.
Yep.
I do think it plays, and everyone's kind of just tossing them into the Big 12 championship game. I probably will too, but I do think you lose your quarterback 3 months ago. And I get the kid that they have now. He was there last year and played a little bit for him, just got hurt.
Will Hammond.
Yeah. And everyone says he's coming along nicely. That's a factor. Like Sorsby was their guy. They spent a lot of money on him. I could see that being a little bit of an issue. You know, are they going to drop one of the easy ones? Probably not. But like, that's why, like, I wouldn't take them to do anything. Like once they get into the playoffs, if they get into the playoffs and win the Big 12. And with that schedule, like you can't afford a loss. Like it's, you know, you go 11-1 and it makes it tougher because you're not going to have a lot of ranked wins, right?
Yeah, right. All right. Well, we'll take it over to LSU. Our Tiger himself on the team here at TRC. Floor's yours. Let's get it. What's going on in Baton Rouge? What's going on in the world with Lane Kiffin? He's doing his Pilates. He's doing his yoga.
Yeah.
Like what's
that's
going
all
on?
you need.
Sam Levitt. Thank you.
That's all you need.
Sam Levitt, baby. What do we got, Dak?
I mean, listen, I'm excited. How could you not be excited? The number one thing that I said when we hired Lane Kiffin after firing Brian Kelly is like, I just want to be a cool football team again. LSU was such a big brand. And like that 2019 team did so much for the image of LSU as a football program. Even if you go back to like that 2011 team with like Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson was there before, that did so much for like kids coming up through high school who wanted to play for LSU, especially in the state of Louisiana. And like, that's how they became a good football team, is recruiting out of the state of Louisiana. After all of that, what Brian Kelly did, I think like almost dismantled all of it. Like that was with the ultra brimmed hat and his crash outs at press conferences and the fake accent. You're micro analyzing. It damaged the brand so much. I think they got him out there at like the perfect time, and it was messy getting Lane Kiffin. But I said, like, going into this season, even if you're 9-3, as long as you're not horrific on one side of the ball, offense or defense, I'm not going to be upset. Now, that being said, what's tough is you're in a unique spot where you kept everyone on your defense. You got the number one portal class. You kept your defensive coordinator. How long you're going to have Blake Baker for, I don't know. And then your issue last year was on the offensive side of the football. Lane Kiffin offenses don't struggle. They might struggle a tiny bit in the first like 3-4 weeks because it's a lot of new pieces, and Sam Levitt is new to the system. He just got the screws out of his foot like a month ago. But like a Lane Kiffin offense is going to get moving, and the stars have kind of aligned where your defense is going to be really good this year. I think the 11 guys on defense on paper right now, probably better than the 11 guys on offense for a Lane Kiffin head coach team. That is pretty rare. So you want to give him time and not put the, deep run in the playoffs, national championship pressure on him. But you are in a unique spot where you spend a lot of money and you kind of have a nice little window here where you can kind of go get things done. So, I mean, me personally, I'm torn. I think they're going to be great. They have the opportunity. Their schedule's tough enough where, maybe could struggle in a few games. But you do have the chance to be like a very, very top 5, top 4 football team this year. Like without a doubt, when you talk about the roster and the coaching staff. That's my thought.
Yeah, no, I think the ceiling's super high. I mean, listen, you're right. The way that you put it, all I think about this is when we were living in the moment with all the cryptic stuff that Lane was doing.
I didn't mean to do that one.
That's all right. Yeah. No,
The,
it's fine.
the problems with using the touchscreen right now.
Yeah.
Like, damn, bro.
that was unintentional.
The problem, all the stuff, with Lane Kiffin that went down and all that, whatever. Like, you have him now, and he's been there now. Like, that's the most important thing, and you got a coach that can go and win. And listen, their ceiling is, I think, one of the highest here. I think if there's 7 teams right now, like you look at the top 7 under me right now, right? There's 7 teams there from Miami on that can win the national championship. If there's an 8th team, I think it's LSU. That's how I feel. And so I'll say that. Now, could they go 8-4? Sure, but it's a schedule thing there at that point where I don't think Lane's going to be bad there. I think it's a great fit. You need someone with that cockiness, but also confidence. Like, there's a balance of it. And I think LSU is going to do well. Whether they make the playoffs or not this year, I think that's the right hire. As messy it was, it doesn't matter. That's like old school SEC doing business. Like, whatever it takes, LSU is going to get the guy they want. And that's what they need, because Brian Kelly, the second he got hired, although you had to buy in, you did. As you're an alum, you're a student athlete. You know, I've been to games with you. It's awesome. And they had some good games where they won. Like, from the outside, and Stu could attest to this, that was bullshit. Like, Notre Dame's head coach, the guy from out east who used to coach at not only Central Michigan and Cincinnati, no, used to be at Grand Valley State, who used to be a former politician. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, it made no sense. This makes sense.
Culture fit, you were at a 0 out of 10. Now culture fit, you're at like a 10 out of 10. I think LSU is at their best when they have a coach who, you know, whether it's 3 years from now or 7 years from now, is going to flame out, but he'll probably flame out after winning a natty. And
title.
I think that's what you have in Lane
Yeah,
Kiffin.
Dude,
Agreed.
they got Coach O back there too. He's on the staff.
Yeah, Coach O's there. You got Weiss. I mean, I think you got everything you need to win a championship. All right, so we're going to speed through this top 10 real quick. OU, listen, John Mateer looks a little too buff for my liking, but they're going to be a good team. Their defense is really solid, fellas.
Yeah.
Obviously, going to Michigan week 2 is going to be a very, very interesting game. Stu, I have to ask you this. It's a fair question. Will you pop the champagne if Michigan wins against OU?
Pop the Henny.
Pop the Henny. No. Remember how you popped the champagne?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was telling Dak, and this is why we drank the Henny. Just for context, me and Kreutz had a very crazy Saturday evening with a bottle of Henny not too long ago. Because, in fact, let me go grab it real quick. I'll show it.
Please.
Yeah. No, just while he's doing that, I asked him this.
Yeah.
Probably like last week, because he was like, I'm not drinking the Henny unless we beat Ohio State. And I was like, really?
Wow, we did some damage to that, and there was more Henny that we drank other than that.
Yeah. So you said Oklahoma. Will the Henny be drunk if they beat Oklahoma?
So I'm torn on it. The Henny, I really think, I mean, Oklahoma will get me very excited. We've talked about this. That's one of the biggest games for just the landscape of the rankings in college football this season in general. That game has like huge implications. You could argue top 5 game in that sense this year. I don't know though if I'll drink the Henny after a win against Oklahoma. I was telling Dak, I think I might wait for a win potentially against Indiana to break out the Henny.
Okay.
Time out. The
top 10 win? You're not going to do it?
No, if I remember, maybe I'm misremembering.
It's early. It's early.
No, time out. I might be misremembering. Also, you might have said this because this was fresh off the Henny. And he brought up he's not cracking into the Henny until you had said at the time, unless they beat Ohio State. That was the only time that you were going to do it. I asked about Oklahoma. You said no. I asked about Indiana. You said no.
I said Indiana. I said I'd consider for Indiana. But now I'm in a state, I'm recovered enough where I can say I will for Indiana.
I think if I were to set the bar, and obviously they're at 10, and then we'll keep moving on, I think you should, for any top 10 win, the Henny should be cracked.
I totally agree. Even if it's just like 2 glasses.
All right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
One sip of Henny for a win against Oklahoma. If they beat Indiana, then we'll have a whole night with the Henny.
All right.
All right.
I'll buy us a bottle. I'll
Yeah.
put it on the record. I'll buy us a bottle.
Hey, TRC honor. You got to say TRC honor. If they beat Oklahoma,
You do.
a sip of the Henny. If they beat
TRC
Indiana,
honor. If they beat Oklahoma, it's one sip. If they beat Indiana, I'll drink this thing down to like all the way down here.
The last goal.
okay.
Yeah.
And Ohio
And then I'll
State.
save the last sip for if they beat Ohio State.
If they beat Ohio State, I feel like we should just do this now. If they make the semifinals, so if they go top 4, I feel like you gotta drink maybe half a bottle by yourself.
All right. Let's.
All right, no, I'm never doing that again.
We'll replenish the Henny thing. We'll all do it together. It's all good.
I just want to see it.
I think if Michigan makes the semifinals, Stu and I will split a whole bottle of Henny, and we'll do a whole video. How about that? Like we'll do a whole episode.
That's all you need.
That's all we need.
We'll go live. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just be insane. All right, Ole Miss, fellas, real quick. Let's cook through this. Ole Miss, I think we all know what we're getting with them. Trinidad and Chambliss is back. Lacey's is back. Pete Golding took them to the semifinals after Lane Kiffin left for Baton Rouge. They lost some guys, obviously, to LSU, but I get why this team is high. I think 8-4, 9-3 is more what I'm thinking, fellas. I think they'll kind of come back down to earth. Anything there?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I think 9 is extremely high. Trinidad Chambliss could be the best quarterback in college football. Quan Lacey might be the best running back in college football. It's got to mean something that you lost your entire offensive staff and your head coach who ran your offense. That's not ideal. I think the biggest thing for them is like LSU's a tough game. I think it got a little bit easier for them with the ammunition that they got, which is going to help them a lot. But I agree. I think 9's high, but 8-4, 9-3, that's fair for sure.
Texas A&M, Stu, if you got anything to say about them there.
Where Trinidad takes them.
Okay.
Oh, it's delayed.
A&M, I work with a lot of A&M people. I know they're very, very hot on them this year. I do have Craver on my college fantasy team, so I'm rooting for him. But in general, I don't love A&M, not super hot on them. I think Oklahoma, honestly, a better team than A&M.
It's fair. I think that's fair. I think A&M, they're turning Marcel Reed. They lost some of their guys to the NFL on the defensive line. Their O-line's decent. Again, I don't know. They won a lot of games last year. You got a tip of the cap to their coach over there. I think Elko's a good coach. I just can only believe so much with A&M. I need to see it. Let's see them win a playoff game before we really commit. Now, this is a very –
last year.
Last
year they just had a really easy schedule.
They did. And they almost lost to South Carolina. Now, credit, they did beat Notre Dame early on, but whatever. They got not pistol whipped. I don't want to say that, but they looked pretty bad against Texas. And then that game against Miami sucked. Speaking of them, Miami comes in after going to the national championship. Obviously, you have Darian Menz coming in from Duke as their quarterback. Tooney's still there. What are we feeling with them, boys? Can they win a national championship this year? Mario Cristobal balls?
I think 100%. Always liked Mario Cristobal. It was going to take a little bit to get the U back. I do think the U is back. It's always favorable playing an ACC schedule. I think that helps them a lot. It helped them a little bit last year as they got tuned up. None of us were big Carson Beck believers, but he did play 5 years of college football, and he can run an offense really well. But really like Mensa, love Tony, love Fletcher. They're going to have a good defense. They're going to be in the playoffs. I think they're winning the ACC. They're going to have a chance at a national championship. I'm hot on them. I would put them higher, personally, higher than 7.
All right. Indiana at 6, I think disrespectful. I get it. Josh Hoover, we don't 100% know. He's not playing the Big 12 anymore. They lost a lot of players to the NFL. I'm done doubting this man, Kirk Cignetti. I'm just done with it. I think this team is for sure going to the playoffs. I would swap them with Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is going to be really good personally, but I think they have to get some credit, dude. They pistol whipped Oregon, who I get is going to come back really good and have a lot of great players returning, but that was embarrassing. Miami game was close, sure, but they beat the shit out of Alabama. Like, boys, I don't know, man. Like, Ohio State's got to go there. I would not be shocked if Ohio State loses that game. I'm just going to buy the Indiana stock. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Indiana is such an outlier for what we've seen in college football in the past since we've been alive. Like what they just did last year and even the year prior, going from absolutely nothing to winning 11 games, even though they lost in the playoffs the first year. You can't doubt them. I know they had a bunch of fifth-year guys, a lot of guys who came from JMU, but they weren't like highly recruited guys. They didn't spend a bunch in NIL, which everybody says like that's the difference. Teams can go spend a bunch. That's not really what they did. Cignetti's just a fantastic head coach. I know they lost their Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. They lost 2 really good receivers as well. They brought in Nick Marsh, though. I think if there's any team, if you look at that top 5, I think there are a few teams who kind of got the nod because of, what they did in the past, and they think they're going to be good going into this year. If there's any team that should just get an auto top 5 nod, it should be Indiana. And we'll talk about them a little bit more. Notre Dame lost quite a bit as well. Stu's gone. Notre Dame lost quite a bit as well. And so if there's a team that should get that nod at 4, I think it is Indiana.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns there, obviously, but like Hoover was a good quarterback last year. And I think it's a guarantee if you're under Cignetti. It's crazy to say, but if you're a quarterback in Indiana, you're going to have a good season. Like guarantee.
Listen, Stu's cutting out. It's episode 1. Listen, if you're watching this, we appreciate you for sticking around. This is we'll figure this out by the time kickoff is. I'll say this to Texas after covering these MFs for 3+ years on air. Dak, I get it why they're ranked 5th. You know why? It's because nobody, as good as their roster is, nobody wants to hitch onto that bandwagon because last year they were 4th. And guess what? They didn't do it. And I like Arch Manning a lot, and I think we all do. I think that he'll go number 1. I mean, if you want to say Dante Moore, fair. If you want to even say CJ Carr, okay. Fine. We can have these debates, whatever. The reason people aren't putting Texas higher is not because of their roster. Their roster's fine. It's because Sarkisian, hey buddy, Sark Spike, what's going on? You went 9-3 last year. Understandable loss to Ohio State. Fine. You went to the shoe. Understandable loss in Athens, Georgia. Fine. You can't lose that game in the swamp and then start bitching and moaning about not making the playoffs. Yeah. Plain and simple. And so, yes, they bring in a lot of great players. I get they bring there's a lot going on right now with Texas where their roster is looking really good. They get Cam Coleman and all that. But I get why they're at 5th. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to hitch my wagon on it this year. Like, I'd be shocked if they don't make the playoffs. Be pretty shocked. But also it's like, you kind of wonder, is Sark on the hot seat if they don't? Because I think he is. Dude. And there's too many resources there for him not to be. And I think Arch is too good of a player for them not. I think they're going to make it. Point in case is if they don't win a championship, like, I don't think Sark's a bad coach by any means. He's got all the resources, though. This is like the year you have to do it. Like, you got to at least be at the dance. If you're not in the championship or at least in the semifinals, there's problems in Austin. There is.
No, I agree. And this isn't to discredit anything that Sark has done at Texas, but, I think you could be just a decent head coach and still bring in an unreal recruiting class and an unbelievable transfer class and spend a lot of money and have a lot of talent at Texas. Yeah. I think you could still get an Arch Manning. Even if you have a different head coach there, you can still go get a Cam Coleman, even if you have a different head coach there. What happened last year is it's tough because they had a lot of high expectations going into the season. And you had to go play in Columbus week 1, which is obviously difficult. And there was a lot of high expectations on Arch, who had never really started. Never had a start. And so, and part of it obviously is the name. And he had played a little bit the year prior and looked really good, which, it sucks, but it didn't help him out at all. And so what happened last year? I mean, their biggest problem, them better, obviously. They couldn't really run the ball last year, which is
terrible.
Uncommon for a Steve Sarkisian coach team. They definitely fixed that this year. Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers, those are 2 dogs. They got both of them.
I will say this, Trevor Gooseby, their best O-lineman, is banged up. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but watch out because this is a top 15 pick in this year's draft that's going to be in 2027. I say this upcoming year. Watch out, man, because that O-line was not good last year. It wasn't. And there's issues, man. They have to figure it out.
Well, I agree. I think most people, they're just afraid to buy into Texas because of what's happened in the past. Even if you talk about like the first year that they made the playoffs, they kind of snuck in because they were in the Big 12 and they had that early win against Bama when they were struggling. Yep. And the schedule wasn't really that bad. And then they barely lost to Washington. The next year, they barely lost to Ohio State. They had some close games last year. I think people forget they almost went 8-4 because they almost lost to Mississippi State last year.
And Kentucky.
I forgot about that. And Kentucky. So like it looked like a better season at the end because Arch played better. And they had the big bowl game against Michigan, whatever was going on with Sharon. I don't know how much stock can you put in that. It's a bowl game.
If OG was coaching the team. So.
Exactly. And
Sharon
so I
was incarcerated.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I think it was a tougher season than what people thought last year. They have a lot of potential to be good this year. It's still going to be a tough schedule.
Yeah.
But, the roster is unbelievable. Cam Coleman's great.
Hey, we'll just cook through these. Listen, it's the first episode. It's a little rocky, as we know. For the sake of time, fellas, I'll just do this. Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State. Would you put them in that order? We'll talk more about these teams next week. Tune in. We're going to pick our conference champions. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on next week. This is kind of our preseason, right? Yeah. What would we order this? Would you put those teams as the top 4? 1. We'll go around the room just to kind of cover these teams because we have more things to get into. Stu's got something for us. Dax got his Dax dog already. But let's just do that. Stu, are you putting this as your order for top 4? You can put a new team in. You can take a new team and put it somewhere else. What are you going here?
Yeah, I think me personally, I'm throwing IU in the mix here somewhere in the top 4, probably switching them out with Notre Dame, to be honest. And I think Notre Dame's going to be good. I mean, it's obviously we can make fun of them all we want for playing a terrible schedule. That's just the fact of the matter when it comes to them. I think Notre Dame will be good, but personally, I would throw IU in here over them. Other than that, like I don't have any problems with the top 4. I would maybe throw IU at like 3. I'd probably go Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, and Oregon at 4, I think is what did I put IU at 3?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'd go Oregon at 4. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Oregon's going to be a great team. It's just hard to get that pistol whipping out of the mind.
Sure.
Yeah, I would go. I'm cool with 1, 2, 3. Oregon's still got to prove it for me, but that roster is unbelievable. Dante Moore is really good. Ohio State, you know what you're getting. Georgia, it's maybe not the best roster that they've had, but it's Kirby Smart. I'd be fine if they were at 2. I'm good with that. The only one I'll ask you guys this because I just don't get it personally. I don't get the Notre Dame love. I understand what their schedule is. They're not in the conference. They're going to make the college football playoff. I like CJ Carr. CJ Carr had a really good sophomore season. For me, I think universally their biggest question mark is the wide receiver position. You don't really know what you're getting there. And then they lost, without a doubt, I think the best duo at running back. Lost them both to the NFL. And it hasn't been talked about all that much. Jeremiah Love is an unbelievable player. And you lose that. I get their offensive line is going to be really good. Their defense is still going to be very good. I would personally have like a Miami, Indiana, or Texas in that 4 spot. I don't understand the auto Notre Dame love that they're going to be great. Maybe I'm the only one not seeing it. But like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. And it is preseason AP top 25, whatever. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't totally understand that, especially because they were 10-2 last year.
Yeah. I'm going to put Indiana at 2. I don't.
Care.
I really don't care. I think it's Ohio State. At least it was a close game, and I get you probably shouldn't do this with like next year type thing. I just believe in Kirk Eddie. He's done something that I get. We're in the NIL era, but like that's coaching. I'll put like Oregon at 3, Georgia. I put Georgia at 3, Oregon 4. I'm kind of with you, Stu. I think Oregon's got maybe the best roster in football, but again. Dan Lanning referring to and that Penn State game, not to belittle that by any means, but what's his best win? I don't know. That, like, okay, great. That's a good win that you won in overtime against a Penn State team that then lost the next week to UCLA. That's all product of, like, that's a domino effect. But he's never won the big game. His last 2 playoff appearances, and I think Dan Lanning is a hell of a coach, but their physicality has gotten put on full blast when their last 2 playoff games they played, they got pistol whipped. Like the year before and this year, pistol whipped. So I'll do that. I think Texas got a great roster, but I got Seattle Sarkisian. I like Arch. I think Notre Dame's also got a great roster. That kid, Great House from Austin's going to be fine at receiver, Dak. You're right about the running backs, though.
Yeah.
But, they got to go 11-1 to get in the playoffs. That's it. So the only game that's tough on their schedule is at BYU, and then I guess they get Miami at home in November. But whatever. As long as they win one of those games, they'll be in the playoffs. Okay. Dak, last thing here. Kick it to you.
Yeah, should we do
Dak's dog?
Yeah, I have a list that I could share, and we can just quickly run through it if that works. Can I share screens too? So we got it here, right?
Oh my God.
Hola, un mensaje especial para Stu. Hi Stu, how are you? I hope you are doing very well. It is Lionel Messi here, the number 10. I want to
All right, get that out of here.
Oh, come on. Hey, come on. What the
We're
hell?
not doing that.
Wait, time out. Let it play.
Try another question.
Let it play.
Try another question.
You gotta let it go.
Try another question.
you that everything will go great with the colonoscopy, and that I will be thinking of you during the procedure. Okay, I know you are a good fan of mine, and I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me to know there are people who care about me. Okay, I want to speak ill of Ronaldo, but you know I am the best, right? It's true. I hope to see you.
I can't understand anything he's saying.
In my time, I will you all the best. Messi sending his love. Acá, Leo Messi te desea un éxito en esa operación y espero verte pronto. Nos vemos.
Oh man. Oh my God.
That is Dak's dog preview.
I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't really understand anything he said. I only caught like 3 things. I caught colonoscopy, Messi sending his love, and I am the best. That's all I caught.
Right. Yeah, that's all you need to know, Stu. It was a message for you.
Yeah. He said, I hope everything, or he said everything will go well with your colonoscopy. Messi sends his love. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
There we go.
Well, hopefully when I'm 40 and I get one, it goes great.
That's good. Dak's dog, the preview, honestly, that was really all I had prepared for it. So
not to little behind the scenes here. Dak's been sitting on that for over a month. I'll just can tell you that, Stuart.
Wow. Damn.
I've been waiting for this.
I bought that on Cameo.
To be honest, I'm shocked it wasn't Chris Castellani, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought that was way better than Chris Castellani. Just knowing how much you obviously
Wait, so that was a real guy?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Cameo
No way,
to you.
dude.
I
Bro,
bought.
I thought that was AI.
No,
it's a man.
Yeah, that was a. I think I spent $50 on Cameo in order to do that. That was when I was back home in Michigan.
He came. He was on the Pardon My Take awards. That guy was. Yeah.
Dude, bro, he doesn't even look like Messi.
I think the funnier part about it, he was on the PMT awards. I bought that before the PMT.
You did.
Awards.
You did. Yeah.
Wow. I'm impressed. You'll have to send it to me after this so I can actually watch it. I couldn't really understand it.
Yeah. That was great for me. I know that was great for Kreitz. That'll be great for Jake if he listens to this. He was kind of a part of it too. Not sure it'll be that funny for anybody else, but pretty hilarious.
Yeah. It was great. Boys, it's a little choppy. Again, this is our preseason. I'll say that. Happy to be back, fellas. We'll wrap this episode up next week. Hopefully we'll get this all figured out. It's all going to be good. And we'll make our preseason picks for conference championships and what we think the playoffs will be. I don't know, maybe a little of that.
Do that. I think that's good.
I got a few over-unders I like. I know you guys got things. Your real Dax dog. Stu's got his segment. Like we got things. We got things.
A lot in the works for sure. And Stu might be a minute behind, but he'll be here next week.
He will be here next week. That's right, Dak.
All right.
All right. Great first episode. Can't wait for the season, fellas. All right.
All right. See you boys.